Hi, everybody,
Hey everyone,
to another episode of SG Explained.
what's up?
Yeah,
Today we're going to be taking a bit of a step by step because we are actually publishing this episode also on our Instagram channel. So if you are more of an Instagram person, head on over to SG Explained live on Instagram, and we will be recording there as well.
cool. You know what? I'm just gonna take this time now to try to start sharing on Facebook so that all you guys and my friends can actually see it. So let me just try to find where is that thing? Let me go. Okay, is that it? No, it isn't. Uh, sorry guys, just technology. Just give me a second.
It's fine. People are allowing us to set up.
Okay. Rovik. You shared it already, Rovik?
Yep.
Okay, the simplest is to look at your page and what you're sharing, and then I'll share it.
It's weird seeing ourselves on our own page.
Okay. All right, so I've shared it. Well, guys,
Do you want to turn on the audio recording?
it's already turned on, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
It's already
all right.
Great. Today we're going to be talking about dating. Thanks for waiting, guys.
Right.
And for those who are just joining in, well, if you're married, well, it's just good information to know, like
Yes.
myself. But if you are single, maybe you might know the statistics of how you might find your other half.
I'm actually very curious about this because Willie, you did most of the research on this topic.
Okay.
And I have a lot of questions because as someone who's just coming back into the Singapore dating pool, I'm very curious on what the statistics are.
Amen.
And I'm
Someone's
sure-
back in town.
I'm sure a lot of people out there are also very curious because there's a lot of different misconceptions out there on how both men and women in Singapore are predisposed to different dating styles.
Right.
So I'm very curious about all of this. And great sage Willie.
Great sage, Willie. No, not at all.
Yeah. Are you dating anyone, Willie?
Oh yeah, I'm still dating my wife.
Right.
Nice save, bro.
I'm sure she's watching this right now.
Oh, I
very
think so
carefully.
too. Yeah, hey, look, there are 5 people right there. Yeah, I think one of them is so be really careful about what I'm saying online as well. Right?
Exactly.
Well, why if my wife is tuning in, don't worry. There's only one guy I'm dating, and that's you. All right, okay.
Good to know. Good to know. I can vouch for it based
Yeah.
on my.
So, how about you, Rovik? Tell me more about what you've been up to. Have you been dating around as well?
Well, like I said, I just moved back to Singapore, so I have been going out on dates from Actually, my parents are going to be watching this as well, so this may be the first time they hear about this.
Oh, wow.
but-
Hi, uncle and auntie.
but yes, I use dating apps, so I've gone out on a couple, but it's been nothing has been concretized and nothing permanent has come out of it.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Okay.
so it's I'm still in the market if that's.
That's still in the market. Okay,
Yeah.
that's pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So haven't put a ring on it. Don't worry about that.
Well, I just came back from college, right? So I spent so many years overseas. I'm coming back and I realized I'm focused more on making friends.
Okay,
now.
you know what? Hey, anyway, anybody who's tuning in right now, the shout out for Rovik. He's
Oh
He's,
no! What?
yeah, he is in the dating scene right now.
Is that where
So
we're going with this?
yeah, so if for any inquiries, you can feel free to PM directly to the SG Explain site, and be sure to say alias Rovik, so I know that I shouldn't read this.
Right. Oh, Willie, you could be getting some love too.
Oh, no.
Yeah, we'll just have to make sure your wife doesn't see it.
Yes. Okay, anyway, back to the topic. Today we're talking about dating, and we're talking about the dating scene in Singapore. So if you're tuning in, this is our topic of discussion today. And if you have anything to say about the dating scene in Singapore, please leave a comment in below or something about what exactly are your experiences in dating in Singapore, or maybe I got see Rob Samuel.
Yeah, my
That's your
dad
Hi,
just gave
uncle.
a shout out.
Yeah. What's the dating scene in Singapore? How have you experiencing? Have you been using dating apps? What's your perception of men in Singapore, or maybe what's your perception of women in Singapore in the dating scene?
Very, very sensitive but interesting.
Of course. Okay,
Topics.
I'm out of the market. I'm sorry, so I don't really need to.
Right.
But nonetheless, interesting topic. Oh, hi Rupesh. Thanks for tuning in.
I'm actually enjoying doing the shows live. I'm just gonna say it because we get to actually talk to a lot of our audience members,
Yeah.
and it's one of the best things about all of this.
Mm-mm.
So let's dive
Okay,
into it.
let's dive into it. All right. So maybe let me just go into something just to start off. Let's see. Let's go into this information right here. Do you know that more than 70% of singles who were or had been in serious relationships said they had met their partners through friends at school or the workplace?
So
Okay.
through some kind of like
Yep.
contextual, like
Mm,
somewhere where you were already going to be anyway, rather
right.
than like at a bar or like in some kind of like happen chance.
That's right. That's right.
I was
Yeah.
actually having a very interesting conversation with a friend today, and she was telling me that she could never see herself doing like a direct pickup on someone. Like if she sees someone cute and then walks
Okay.
over, and I question myself, like, could I do it?
Okay.
But the reality is, yeah, it makes so much sense that you would probably find your significant other in a place where you already have that
Mm.
context, right?
Mhm. Right, I see. But you know what? Maybe let's start with another point. I think we're jumping straight in a bit too quickly, but maybe this is an interesting perspective to look at. Is this actually there are more women staying single in Singapore and not getting married? Did you know that?
Compared to what?
Compared, so more Singaporean women across all age groups are
Right.
staying single compared to a decade ago, according to population figures released.
I'm actually not that surprised. It's this is Singaporean, but it's very in line with what's happening in most developed economies
Of course.
anyway, right? Like especially if you think about it, more women are entering the workforce.
Yeah.
More women are able to actually build their careers
Hmm.
in a way that wasn't as restrictive as before.
Of course, of course.
So there's a lot of good stuff going on.
Yeah, but it's quite dramatic. I mean, we're looking at the figures. It says the increase was most noticeable among women aged 25 to 29. That's
wow.
your age group, right?
Right.
Where the proportion of singles went up from 60.9% in 2007 to 68.1% in 2008. And I think that if you extrapolate that to 2018, that is really a big rise in the amount of percentage points
Right.
through the years as well.
That means for every 10 women, there are only 3 who are actually in a relationship.
Correct. And maybe, Rovik, just to find someone in your age group, the chances of landing someone is actually a lot lower right now because
Right.
women have this preference not to want to be attached to somebody. They
Right.
want to remain single.
But I'm looking at the numbers from men, and according to this, even amongst men, 25 to 29, the numbers are up also.
Wow.
From 77.5% a decade ago to 80.7%.
You know what I'm thinking?
So
Because the girls don't want the guys.
yeah, but
and then they could remain single.
yeah, it seems like
Or it could be the other way around.
it's a very reinforcing effect. Maybe
Okay.
we don't know, but what I am seeing is that 80.7% of guys
Okay.
who are single
Mhm.
and 68.1% of women.
Mm.
And both those numbers have increased over the past decade. So that means, in general, there's just a lot of single people out there in our age bracket.
Yeah, of course. But if you ask me, I suppose that there seems to be a dramatic difference in the weight of the increase. I mean, women, if we say the population is 50 men, 50% women, right?
Right.
We're seeing a whole like 7% of women not wanting to date, or not wanting to date, but rather staying single.
Right.
And men, about maybe 3%.
More,
or maybe less than that actually, 3% who want to stay single.
Right.
Right. And I think that more women are staying single. That's kind of like a very interesting perspective as well. I think I see from society.
Right.
Maybe it could be equality of sexes, or maybe
Right.
more education for women as well,
Right.
or development in society and economics as well. Could
Right.
actually play a really large part in this, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of things to consider when it comes to like the reasons for marriage, right? Like, I think at the most romantic level, we all want to accept that marriage is basically 2 people who want to spend the rest of their lives together, coming together. But there's also, if you think about it, a very practical reason to get married.
Of course.
You get to pool your resources together. You get to access a lot of different public services in Singapore only as a married couple.
Yeah.
And some people are realizing, hey, like maybe I don't need all of that. I just kind of want to live my own life. We have
an interesting perspective. Hi, Lawson. Thanks for filling in. He says, Willie, long time no see. Hi, I know. Yeah. Now you see me. Good to see you as well. More often, he says, I see more female friends getting married before male friends. Okay.
Okay.
And that's it. I mean, that definitely is true with your circle of friends. But you know what? I also see that it says that the proportion of singles women, right, aged between 30 to 34, went up to 3.9 percentage points to 32.8. So it actually there's an increase, almost like 4%
Right.
between 30 to 34. But if you compare that to men, that proportion actually rose slightly, only like less than
Right. Between
less
0.2.
0.2%.
Right.
That's like marginal.
Right.
So women are really, really marrying much later.
Right.
Yeah.
More older women remain unmarried. Yeah. That's
exactly.
what we're saying here.
Yeah.
I think those are all interesting numbers, and it kind of reinforces the narrative that we've been told from very young about how Singapore's.
Oh, I'm sorry. Actually, those in the same age bracket of 30 to 34 actually dropped. Right, dropped marginally down to 0. Means that men at 30 to 34 are actually getting married, or more men are getting married.
Right.
But for women between age 30 to 34, actually they're not getting married.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 25 to 29, both groups are not getting married at a higher rate.
Yeah.
Women are not getting married at even like a much higher rate than as men.
Exactly.
But 30 to 34, while the proportion of women not getting married is going up, the proportion of men getting not getting married is going down.
Right.
So that's very interesting. Yeah, there's so many things to unpack from all.
And of course, I mean, there's some data about what exactly are the dating attitudes as well. We're seeing that people were saying that 4 out of 10 respondents. I think this is an ST survey, right? We said that respondents who were single had never been in a serious relationship. So 4 out of 10 of the respondents defined as dating with a view towards marriage.
Right.
4 of them said they've never been in a serious relationship before.
I've never been in a serious relationship myself.
Oh, maybe you're filling it at 4.
Right. Or maybe I have and I didn't know it.
You mean we're not serious friends? Yeah. So among those not dating seriously, 42% said they prefer to leave dating to chance. I suppose, yeah, you want to know. I mean, some people really want to feel that love is a natural progression.
What's the alternative to leaving dating to chance? Because I don't really know what that means.
Leave dating to chance, which means that I suppose it's natural. Instead of you actively searching, like going to a dating agency,
right?
Or maybe asking your friends proactively to hook you up with friends,
right? Okay.
Maybe by chance, like, oh, I met this person at
so to let it bloom.
Yeah, to let it bloom. Exactly.
I get it.
Not taking proactive steps
right.
to want to see to want to be with somebody. Yeah.
Right. But those stats are also interesting because about 83% of single millennials, so people in my age group, indicate that they do want to get married.
Right.
So there's an increased proportion of people who are staying single, but
no, actually this is a down. So it used to be 83% of millennials saying they want to get married, but now 86%.
So it used to be 86, and then now it's 83. But that number is still a high number.
Right.
80.
Right.
So basically, 8 in 10 people do want to get married, but only the number of people who are single don't represent that intent, right? So maybe there's something going on. It either could be that people want to get married but don't find people compatible around them, or, and actually we have those numbers later on, or they want to get married but they don't want to get married immediately. They're just waiting. For their career to build up.
Well, it could also mean people have different ideas of what marriage is as well.
Right.
I mean, people have different ideologies about the importance of marriage.
Right. So there's a survey here, right? It says, why are you not currently dating?
With a view towards marriage, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And this is from the Parenthood survey done in 2016.
Okay, pretty recent.
Yeah, and it says that the number one reason is I have not met a suitable partner yet.
Okay,
right.
That's fair.
That's my reason as well, actually. Like,
are we saying that people are having more expectations about how they want to see their partner?
I think that's it. Maybe you're just you have an idea of what a compatible partner is, and
Right.
and those expectations.
Because we have dating apps,
Right.
we have like dating services.
Right.
I mean, with social media, it should give you an idea of how to meet people as well, or you get to see people as well.
And if you really think about it, in Singapore, like bringing it back to Singapore, it's even more. There's so much more of a downstream effect if you don't marry right.
Right.
Because you're locked in. You're locked into HDB.
Okay.
A lot of your public services like your CPF and all, they kind of all fall onto what it means to be married.
Right.
And so you don't want to really walk into that very, very tight commitment.
Of course.
Without having a good partner.
Right.
And
Definitely.
it's not as easy as in the US, for example, where getting a divorce, basically, if you have your prenup, if you have everything set up, like the moment you divorce, you get a clean slate, more or less. But over here, it's not that clean.
So you're saying that there could be a chance that people are not getting married because it's risky for themselves?
I'm not saying it's a cause. I'm saying it's definitely an implication. Right. The number two reason.
Maybe we should ask the audience as well. Why do you think people are not getting married, or essentially less and less people are actually getting married?
Right. And actually, it would be interesting if you are a young person. Then mention that, and if you are currently married, slightly older, mention that, because I think there will be a definite difference based on which age group you're in.
Okay.
Right? Because if you're a young person, you may have certain views, and if you're an older person, you may think that young people are not getting married for very different reasons.
Okay, sure. Fair.
So I'd be very curious to see what those things are.
What do you think people are not married? I mean, I represent the sort of like a little older group.
Right.
Yeah. So what do you think? I mean, what do you think people are not getting married?
So for me, I think people are not getting married because we want to do more stuff with our lives.
Okay.
Right? Like I want to travel more, and I want to be able to start something of my own in terms of like maybe a business or maybe a project. And not to say that getting married will stop me from doing those things, but I'm not going to actively try to make that my first priority. It's gonna be if it happens, it happens. And I hope to find someone that way. But I'm focusing on other goals.
Right.
And I think if you think about it, back in the day, which is, you can correct me if I'm wrong.
We're not that so far.
Right. But back in the day, like people right out of college, or maybe even while in college, that was their next step. Like even before starting work, sometimes it'd be like, I just need to get married.
Okay.
Right. So
it's just a natural progression, I suppose, in life.
Right. We have options now.
Right. I think that, at least for what I understand from, I'm married, right? So I mean, I got friends who are getting married or who are married already and have kids, right? I think one of the major considerations that prevent people from getting married today is economics.
Okay.
It's essentially, I can't afford to get married.
Yeah.
And there's some expectations when you get married. For example, after marriage comes a child, for example, right? And I think that that's one of the greatest deterrents, which is paying for that home, paying for that wedding,
right,
and then paying for that kid,
right,
and may come as well. And some people skip the kids.
Yeah.
But I think it might be actually an economic consideration as well.
I fully agree.
Yeah. And I think maybe that could also in part explain why people are dating a lot. Not dating, but actually getting married a lot later. Right. And as well as sometimes they're also dating a lot later as well. Yeah. Yeah. Because they could be focused on their careers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about it, getting married, which is, if you're thinking of dating, then you're also thinking of getting married sometimes. And getting married also involves getting your first HDB.
Right.
And we're in our HDB episode, which you can check out. We've talked about the fact that there is a down payment that you need to put up.
Of course,
that's a heavy down payment.
Yes, it is.
So
and the prices of property aren't that low as well.
Yeah, so I completely recognize the economic argument and all of this.
But I see there's also, I mean, we're just talking, why are you not currently dating? This is a 2016 survey, right? Right. And we have said that because 71% say that have not met a suitable partner. But what is interesting is the next line. This says that for 42% of people, they said, I prefer to leave dating to chance.
Right.
Yeah, so they prefer to pair up with somebody by the idea of chance.
Right.
Maybe that's some kind of like a social phenomenon that's happening and still happening today.
But actually, it's very interesting because there's an equally proportionate response, which is I do not have many opportunities to meet potential partners.
Oh, okay.
So even
Wow.
if I don't leave it to chance,
Yeah.
I don't really have that many opportunities to meet potential partners.
Really?
Because again, if you look at what we said before, is that most people date someone who's a friend, who's someone in their school or at work. But if you exclude all of those things, where do Singaporeans date? Where do you find potential partners?
Right.
It's not like, and this is very interesting, it's not like when I was in the US where you could just go to a bar and talking to someone at the bar was actually very socially acceptable.
Of course.
Both from like just making friends,
right,
but also like, yeah, I could meet someone who I'd be potentially interested in.
Right.
In Singapore, there's still that stigma to it, and there's that very conservative attitude of okay, anyone who's going to be talking to me at a bar who's a stranger is probably someone I don't want to talk to, and I think that comes from that natural aversion to.
But I find that's a very interesting perspective because Singapore is getting more liberal,
right?
And I mean, people are getting more open-minded about things.
Sure.
But yet we have an increased people who still feel this way. Not increased, but we still have a lot of people who still feel this way, and people are actually dating a lot later.
Right.
Yeah. So and an increasing thing is you have like dating sites. Right. You have dating apps.
Yeah.
You have dating agencies. You have more social media, more events, opportunities, and yet we still have 42% of people say, I don't have many opportunities to meet potential partners.
Right. So I would actually find it interesting to hear what data you have on dating apps, actually. How effective are those, and what do people think about it?
Sure. Let me just pull that data out, right?
Right.
But it's pretty interesting. I mean, even we're a more connected society.
Yeah.
We actually aren't that connected. It's very difficult for people.
Yeah, actually that's true. Like
right.
like true romantic connection. Right? Yeah, it's very interesting.
So do you think someone going through, I mean, just yourself, I mean, anecdotally yourself,
sure.
Do you think that by going through a dating app, you can find true love?
Yeah, why not?
Okay.
Right. I mean, logically, why not? Right? Because there are two people on a platform and they both are interested.
How would you feel about explaining about, let's say, to your future kids about how you met your mother?
On a dating app? It would be so normalized by then. I really don't get why people are afraid of it.
That's true.
It used to be the case, and this is actually interesting. When I was in the army, I had a friend who met his girlfriend at the club, right? But he would, for the love of God, never admit that to anyone around, right? Okay. Because there was that stigma to it.
Of
like
course.
Meeting at the club has the stigma of like, oh, like you were looking to like have fun and get drinks, and then you met this guy, so maybe it's not legitimate.
Of course.
Right? But I don't think that's true, right? And it's the same with Tinder, right? People have this idea that Tinder is this is anecdotal.
Yeah.
But people have that idea that Tinder is basically where people go to just find someone to like have a short-term fling with, or maybe it's just for purely surface level stuff. But that's changing.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. Hey guys, for those who are just joining in, thanks for joining in. I think today we've got lots of traffic coming in because a lot of people just want to talk about dating and love in Singapore.
It's a very interesting conversation.
So if you have any opinions about dating or love or the phenomena of how people are dating in Singapore, or maybe you just want to talk about that one date you had on Tinder or any of the sites that you have, just please leave a comment so we can all benefit from your experience as well. And also really like to hear your views about certain phenomena in Singapore, why people aren't dating and why people are actually dating a lot later in life as well. Yeah. So back to this whole dating app thing, all right?
Right.
Okay, let's look at the usage of online services for dating.
Okay.
So it says 43% of the population, or the surveyed population, said they're comfortable with meeting a partner through an online dating website or app.
Okay.
More than double from 19% in 2012.
Right. That's a good up.
Yeah. Right. So a lot of people are actually going on dating apps as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's kind of strange that in 2016's data, we are seeing that people are saying that they're finding it difficult. They feel that they don't have opportunities to actually meet the other half.
Right. I mean, there's so many things that could be happening at once, right? But
and you know what? And among singles who were or had dated seriously, 13% met their partners through online channels.
Oh.
So there's some success as well,
Yeah,
right?
and that number is up from 7%
7% in 2012, so it's
yeah.
nearly doubled.
Right.
43% of millennials have used an internet dating service or app at some point, and 55% of know at least one couple who have met online, while 64% of millennials know at least one couple who met online. Only 20% of baby boomers do.
Right.
So I think there's really an increase as well of people connecting through technology as well.
Yeah.
So
I mean, even amongst my friend groups, right? So when I came back, I remember asking a lot of my friends, like, what's the update? What's happening in your lives? And a lot of them said, I just started dating this new person.
Yeah.
And a lot of them were very freely admit that they met that person on a dating app. A lot of them actually Coffee Meets Bagel, which is according to what we found out, the most reputable dating app in Singapore. Okay. Right? So that means
the highest scoring service for reputation is Coffee Meets Bagel.
Right.
I suppose you get more wholesome people there, or
maybe it's just the algorithm.
Are you on Coffee Meets Bagel?
I'm on Coffee Meets Bagel.
Okay,
yeah.
Cool. All right, guys, you know what to do. Girls.
But it's right, because while more people know about Tinder,
right?
Each dating app, and this is something interesting by itself, each dating app carves its own niche.
Okay.
Right. So Tinder is very much known for, you have most people on it, and you'd be able to get as many, if you're more interested in the numbers game of dating, then that's where you go. But Coffee Meets Bagel tends to be a lot more. There's a high bar in terms of what you need to put in. You need to you need to fill in more of a profile.
Right.
You actually need to think about how you want to talk to this person, and so all of that actually increases the quality of the match, I would say. There are so many other apps, right? Like there's Bumble, which is a dating app where the woman has to message first.
Okay.
So that's all about
interesting perspective.
That's all about setting. So the idea is that if a woman messages first, she sets the tone of the conversation, because it's very likely that if the male messages first, that it's either going to be something sexual, something crude, or rather, it's not that it's likely, but there is a chance.
Okay.
Whereas if a woman does it, the data shows that it's probably not going to be crude.
Okay.
So
is that sexist? Is the data sexist?
Well, the data is data, and you can interrogate it all you want.
But I think to move on as well from what you're saying as well.
Right.
I think there's a segment which says that they are embarrassed using online platforms. You know that 47% of millennials say that they will be embarrassed to admit that they had met their partners through online dating apps.
Right, but in that same paragraph, 73% of Singaporeans said that they would not think of a couple they met online any differently.
So that's kind of
so
kind of really,
there's this idea that there's a stigma.
Yeah.
But most Singaporeans are like, no, we don't care.
Right.
Like you found someone you love, good on you. Like that's great, right?
But people still feel the embarrassment, I suppose.
Yeah, it goes back to the same idea of what we're talking about, like meeting someone at a club, right? People feel like there is a legitimate, proper way to meet someone.
Meeting somebody. Okay.
Yeah, but there's so many ways to meet someone that you are going to build your life with, right?
Okay.
And if you kind of deconstruct all of that, then it all goes down to, was this person fun? Was this person someone who shares a lot of the same aspirations and values? And you can meet that person anywhere in the world, the club, the dating app, even in your school or workplace. The point is that you met that person. But
it's interesting that millennials have more percentage points about how they feel embarrassed than compared to baby boomers.
Yeah, I found that very interesting. And again, it contradicts my own experiences with my friends, right? Because they were very happy to share where they met their significant others.
Right. So this is a 2017 study that says that millennials most embarrassed by internet dating. If you had a relationship with someone from a dating service app, would you be embarrassed to admit it? And you know what? 47% of millennials say they'll be embarrassed.
Right.
The Generation X, which is my generation, say that 31% say they'll be embarrassed, and baby boomers 34%.
Wow.
Yeah. And how about the percentage of people who say they would not be embarrassed? So millennials say that they will not be embarrassed. It's only 53%.
Right.
But Generation X and baby boomers both share 66%. Right. Maybe you're a lot older, and then you have no choice.
Right.
You can't be embarrassed on it anymore.
Or you realize in life shame is not helpful.
Of course.
Right.
Maybe it's not so much on the societal thing, but really it's an age thing, age-defined phenomenon, would you say?
Sure. I mean, I think a lot of people when they so I'll speak for myself,
Mm,
right? There is this expectation that maybe even I put on myself
right.
that if I am going to do anything, there's a proper way to do it.
Okay.
And the older you get, you realize a lot of that expectation is hodgepodge, right? It doesn't really
Mhm.
come from anywhere,
Mm,
and you can kind of just do whatever you want
right.
as long as you live by principles and values, which dating apps don't corrupt you.
Right.
There's no like, there's nothing to fear about Tinder or Coffee Meets
Maybe
Bagel.
you're getting more urgent about wanting to meet somebody and to settle down with somebody, and therefore everything, like for example, you don't get any more embarrassed. It's like, oh well,
Sure.
I just want to meet somebody nice,
I could see that. Why
Yeah.
not?
and so that's why you know what? It's my happiness, it's not yours.
Right.
That's why I don't no longer get embarrassed.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it could be, but nonetheless, a very interesting perspective because technology seems more accessible. I mean, the youth. I mean, we're looking at millennials. They grew up in a generation. Your generation grew up with technology around you.
Right.
Right. My generation X was in between that. Right. It was both traditional old things, and then later on, then also living into the digital age as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that kind of like.
I also think it's interesting, and this is something that I thought it would be important to talk about, is that there is actually a resurgence, and we don't have the data for it because it's quite recent. There's actually a resurgence of offline dating services.
Mm.
So I know, for example, Paktor, which is like the Singaporean and Southeast Asian version of Tinder,
Mm.
they have an offline dating counterpart called Gaigai, for example.
Mm.
And they're not the only ones. So
Okay.
there's a bunch that have recently found a market because there are people who maybe, you know, they've used dating apps, they realize that they don't really have the luck that they want, or maybe they're not suited for finding people on dating apps, and they go onto these things. And it's actually creating a very interesting phenomenon because what used to happen back before dating apps was that in Singapore, one of the main groups organizing a lot of these events was the Social Development Network.
Oh yeah, that's right. I remember those days.
And it was I don't know if it was ever actually called a Singapore Dating Network, but I remember
But
that.
you know, anecdotally and from my experience, I think some people felt embarrassed about going to these government-endorsed
Exactly.
social events.
Right. So, but
Yeah.
now what's happening is that a lot of these offline dating agencies, they are taking on the job that the Social Development Network used to do,
Mm,
like directly.
right.
So now all these agencies, all they have to do is to just be accredited.
Mm,
So there's this new like stamp of trust that the SDN, Social Development Network, puts on a lot of these agencies, and all that means is that they have a registry from the government that basically tracks who's single and who's not married, right? And so if you go to one of these agencies and they have that stamp, what's happening is that they're basically telling you, like, we will make sure that whoever we put you in a room with or match you with, we're going to make sure that they are definitely also single.
Of course.
Which to me is like, okay, like that's a very low level check. Like,
Right.
like I'm sure there's not a lot of like married people out there like trying to get more than they want, but
It's true.
that's also a very interesting thing in Singapore, that we have an agency that basically does this, and they kind of do a lot of the guidance, they kind of do a lot of the KPI setting and all of the stuff for a lot of these offline
Right.
dating agencies to make sure that, okay, do we have an overview on what the dating scene in Singapore is
It's
like?
true. But you know what? What's interesting about this data right now is that to further on, which is we have a lot of people who say they don't mind judging people, or 70% of Singaporeans say they don't think of a couple they met online any differently, right?
Right.
And of course, so 47% of Millennials say they were embarrassed about this. But you know what? Only 16% of Singaporeans or love seekers who have used internet dating would prefer to meet their future partner via online dating service again.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, suggesting that internet dating service still have a long way to go before they fully shake off their stigma.
Yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
a very interesting
So
step.
I mean, you may be okay to use it, but do you want to use it again to find somebody? Maybe some people say, I prefer not to
Right.
meet somebody on an online dating platform,
I think it's, yeah.
right?
I
And
it-
people
it's-
still want that. I suppose people still want that romantic flavor to how the sacred chance of meeting somebody. would you say?
I think that's very interesting. Yeah. I wouldn't know exactly what to tell these people because to some extent, and this is something I've heard people say, dating either could be seen as, you're looking for that one person and you just have to be on that journey to find that one person.
Right.
On the other hand, you have people who say, oh no, dating's just a numbers game, right? Like the more you put yourself out there, the more likely you find someone that you actually like.
Okay.
Right. And I can see how both worldviews exist.
Mm-hmm.
Which worldview I personally subscribe to, I haven't completely decided.
And you know what? Both ways could go. Both ways could answer this question as well. It
Right.
could be one person say, you know what? I just really want to meet somebody by the secret chance.
Right.
The other person's like, if this is a statistical game, it's really tiring.
Yeah. I there are people who do well in the numbers game. Right. We have Elliot, who just joined us on Instagram.
Elliot.
Live. Elliot says, "I'm a love guru."
Oh.
Good. We do need some anecdotal evidence.
Yes, we need some evidence if you were to put yourself out there.
Actually, everyone who's watching us, like, would you prefer? Which worldview do you believe in? Do you believe in the one person? I just gotta keep looking for that one person, or do you believe it's a numbers game? Just keep putting yourself out there, keep putting yourself in dates.
Or is it a statistical game?
Yeah.
Or is it something, it's a divine romance?
It's a fate.
It's a fate.
It's a chance of fate.
All right.
Which do you believe in? Give us your shout outs and let's see what people think.
Okay, sure. Let's just move on, all right? You know what, let's talk about, since we're on the topic of dating,
right.
and do you have a view of wanting to get married? But some people don't want to get married as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because they may still be dating, or they be in a very committed relationship,
right?
And they might not want to date. And if you're a love guru like Elliot, maybe you just want to stay a love guru for your whole life.
Yeah.
So it might be a different thing as well.
He says he's been dating for 10 years, and by certain standard, that makes him an expert.
Okay.
Elliot, you've been dating for 10 years? I didn't know that.
Not sure. How's your hit rate like? Yeah. Okay. All right, but more marriages and fewer marital dissolutions in 2017. That's very interesting, right? There are actually more marriages, and actually there are less and fewer marital dissolutions.
Wow.
Right. So the number of
all of these statistics are confusing me now, because there are less people dating, there are more people staying single, but then there are also more marriages. How is this working out?
I'm not sure. Maybe people are getting married a lot later.
Okay.
Right.
Oh, so there are more people staying single young.
Yeah.
But those marriages are happening. They're just happening later.
It could possibly be that. But the interesting thing is that there are fewer divorces. I mean, there are fewer marital dissolutions.
Well, okay. So it says the general marriage rate for males increased from 44.4 marriages per thousand unmarried males to 45.7. So that's a small bump.
Okay, that's great.
And for females as well, it rose from 41.6 marriages per thousand to 42.8 in the same period.
Right.
So both are increasing over time, but yeah, it still doesn't explain why. Like, it doesn't give us a direct response, and I guess it'll be difficult to find a direct answer for why there's still more people staying single younger.
Well, we were seeing that in contrast, a total of 7,578 marriages ended in divorce in an annulment in 2017.
Right.
It's actually half a percentage lower than 7,614 in 2016.
Right.
So we are actually having less divorces.
Right.
And we are increasing in the number of marriages.
Right.
It's pretty interesting, right?
And this is a very interesting one.
And this was due to the decline in Muslim divorces, which more than offsets a slight increase in civil divorces.
Oh, so it was a net decrease.
Oh,
so what happened was that there was a slight increase in civil divorces.
Right.
But Muslim divorces had a more than proportionate decline.
Oh.
Which caused a net decline.
So this is the true story.
Right.
Actually, there are more civil divorces.
Right.
But less Muslim divorces.
Right.
Right.
Or rather, there was a decline. Yeah.
Decline. Okay.
Yeah. So that's very interesting.
That's very interesting. So actually, if we look at that perspective in the civil realm, in the civil marriage area, actually there are a lot more divorces today.
Right.
Yeah.
The numbers lie.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it'd be good to find out, but then we also have an increase in the number of marriages. So if by proportion alone, maybe the proportion might be the same.
Interesting. Right. And in the same marriage detail, the number of inter-ethnic marriages continue to increase. And we've seen this not just, it used to be 16.4% 2007,
Right.
2017, 22.1%. So one
Wow.
in 5 marriages are interethnic.
Wow, that's pretty good, right?
Yeah. And
Lots of diversity in the future as well.
yeah, and I find that interesting. I know it's been picked up by a lot of news agencies. I know Channel News Asia, it's like, oh my God, interethnic marriages are happening.
Right.
To me, as a minority, it's a statistics thing. Like, we are the minority. If you want us to think about, who we want to date, we're just used to seeing so many people.
Of course.
Whereas I think on the counterpart, it is surprising for a lot of people because they're like, oh, like I only knew to marry someone my own race. But to a lot of people in a minority race, I think it's becoming just like, oh, like this is just, I grew up in a multiracial country.
Right.
Like,
Right.
multiracial marriages are just common sense to me. Like, I could marry someone from my own race, and like there's nothing stopping me from doing that. But there's also nothing stopping me from marrying someone from another race.
Well, I think that's a very encouraging thing. I mean, there's diversity in society as well. That's
Yeah.
exactly what we need. And I think that the same thing is ideas will also be merged in such a perspective
Right.
as well. I think it's great.
I will say this though, and I think
Mhm.
it's worth saying in this podcast, it's that actually in Singapore, it is very interesting to see how interethnic marriages occur because it is not as Singapore is not as progressive and culturally ambiguous as, for example, the US, where if you are a Chinese person and you marry, for example, someone from another race, it makes a bit more sense because when you're in the US, you kind of do. It is very likely that you will probably kind of be more participative in an American identity rather than your Asian identity.
Okay.
Whereas in Singapore, you actually do have to balance both things. Like, you do kind of keep your Chinese culture or your Indian culture a lot while still participating in this like mixing pot Singapore culture. And the reason why I say that is, like, for example, if you do get married or you do date, your parents are still going to want you to, or rather your partner to kind of still want to participate in a lot of their family traditions.
Right.
Like Chinese New Year.
Retain your heritage, they would say.
Yeah,
Right?
for
Okay.
example. And so interracial marriages, interethnic marriages in Singapore, and interethnic dating
Mhm.
in Singapore is actually requires the cultural participation
Right.
more than most other developed economies.
I see. I
Right.
see. That's pretty interesting anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think definitely in the future we're going to be seeing this maybe possibly the statistics actually rise in Singapore as well. I mean,
Right.
that's pretty encouraging as well. As we also see, I mean, it's good to know. I mean, there'll be some questions that come about. One thing that off the top of my head is this. I mean, if you married a Chinese girl or
Right.
another girl or another ethnic group, what will your child be put? What will your child's race be in the IC?
The IC, that's
Yeah.
always been. We've asked this question like I think 3 times in this podcast show, and we don't know the answer. I think we do. I think Elliot and I actually figured it out last time. But we'll have to check that episode out.
Okay, sure. Maybe we have another episode on identity,
Right.
racial identity.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's also the age of marriage, right? The median age of first-time grooms was relatively stable over the last decade,
Mhm.
falling to 30 years in 2017 after rising from 29.8 years in 2007 to 30.3 years in 2016.
Right.
So people are just hovering around this age. They're
Right.
getting older. People are getting older, but now they're also getting younger
Right.
and get married. The median age of first-time brides, we're talking about girls here, rose from 27.2 years in 2007 to 28.4 years in 2017,
Right.
thus narrowing the gender age gap.
Right.
So-
Oh wow, yeah, because it was something I knew while growing up that older men marry younger women.
Exactly.
Yeah, but we don't really know what the median age means in terms of the actual age difference within
Right.
a couple. But it
But
could
at least the
yeah.
median age is actually we're seeing that possibly that they are neutralizing to the same age as guys.
Yeah,
going
the
up again.
equilibrium is getting much
Right.
closer.
I mean, for example, my wife, right? She's a year younger than me,
Right.
so we are also dating relatively about the same age as well.
I do find this interesting
Mm.
about dating in general.
Okay.
When I do, so for example, if I hear about someone and it piques my interest and then I ask, tell me more about this person.
Right.
If the person, and I mean that in like, I'm interested to actually meet this person in a dating kind of sense. Normally the response is, but she's older than you. And my reaction is I don't care. right? If she cares, maybe that's a thing. But like to me, like as long as she's not like 10 years older than me or even 5 years, it's still something I would think about. But to me, like if she's like 1 or 2 years older than me, I don't really care. And I think it goes back to like in Singapore, because women are having careers now, women are equally participating in the workforce. What you think about as traditional gender roles within a relationship don't really stand that much anymore.
Maybe it could be biological reasons as well. I mean, these are things that, for example, a woman older who really wishes to have a child,
right,
and is marrying a younger man, right, would say that I would really want to have a child in this maybe possibly after marriage,
right,
and maybe it could be this kind of dynamics. It might not necessarily be a social ideological perspective,
sure,
but actually be a more physical need that they want to achieve.
Sure, and I think that's the kind of thing that you can have within a conversation, right? It doesn't disqualify you from even getting into that spot, which I think is what I'm hearing from a lot of conservative minded people who basically say like, oh no, a man should always be older than a woman.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. So I'm saying those are things you have in a conversation, you know, like if you think that you wanna have a kid early on and you want to have a conversation with whoever's your partner, go ahead. I'm not sure if that should be your first date conversation necessarily, but I think in general, age difference should be something that is a consideration, not a disqualifier, right?
Okay.
It's the same as when you date someone who has very different hobbies from you, or who is from a different race, or is from a different religion, even more important, right, for a lot of people. So that's just my 2 cents.
Yeah. Very interesting. Yeah. Hey guys, you know what? We're gonna this episode is gonna be short, but you know what? It's really interesting about what we're finding out about dating in Singapore as well.
Right.
Really, sometimes that information almost seems to be contradicting itself.
Yeah.
Yet it's not.
The narrative is very difficult to get, and that's very interesting because I think the whole reason why we started doing this podcast was to start building narratives out of all these different data points. And it goes to show that if we, by putting all together all this data, can't really see a clear picture, it is difficult for a lot of people to figure it out. Right? Dating in Singapore is not easy. It's very complex and very difficult.
Before we go, there's one more last line that we need to share about, and this is what we actually found in the study, is actually delaying marriage.
Okay.
That's something that's happening. And I think for the data, we were talking about people getting marrying a lot older, people dating a lot older, and this phenomenon actually is, I think some people have left some comments, or rather the survey has actually talked about that delaying marriage is reflective of the most developed countries. I think that's something we understand, right, for people. And the main reason for delaying marriage is competing life goals.
Right.
And this is what the study said. So we have Professor Pauline, a sociologist from National NUS, said that she says that such as a prolonged period in formal education and career, she adds that when you're older, you're more likely to know what you want and less likely to compromise. And therefore, sometimes when you have a life goal that you want to achieve, you definitely don't want to marry somebody who has a differing perspective, or differing life goal as you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, I mean, again, anecdotally, I would never compromise on my own values in order to get married. Like, I know in Singapore, it's such a pipeline system that you kind of have to go through. It's like, there's a standard way, you know, you go through college, you get married, you get your HTB, you work, tap into your CPF, retire, right? And if you don't get married, then you can't access all of that, right? That's in the rest of the pipeline. But to me, I wouldn't sacrifice any of my life aspirations or values just so that I can access that. Like, to me, it's even more important to know who I am and to value that. And I would want that partner to have their own passions and their own pursuits, such that, you know, that relationship is not something that's convenient, like it's just convenient. I mean, it's not just something to touch that HTB that a lot of people are trying to get. It is primarily about two people wanting to be together. And I think in Singapore, we still need to value that, right? Or if you really think a marriage of convenience is what you want, then you do you. Like, I'm not gonna stop anyone, but like, know what you want. Right, and I think that's what this quote is saying. I
would speak from my own experience, which is some people get into marriages without not fully knowing exactly what they want,
Right.
but they come up really at the end of the day knowing exactly. It just develops in time. So sometimes I would say that you would, as a male, as a guy sometimes, and I think even for some females as well, you will need to compromise in a relationship sometimes
Sure.
for the benefit of the other.
Sure.
And I think, I mean, some people say accommodating, some would say compromise.
Sure.
I think really at the end of the day, when you choose to be with somebody, it's very important to. I think a lot of times when I MC a wedding, we always tell the groom to say, yeah, just close one eye.
Right,
Now that
right.
you're committed, if you can close both eyes.
Right.
And I think both the groom and the bride. And I think when you're in a relationship, maybe when you choose to see the good, and sometimes you don't want to see the bad, maybe occasionally you can't help it.
Right.
It really makes your marriage last a little longer. Just 2 cents.
That's good marriage advice.
Okay.
Really. I appreciate it. I think the place for compromise does exist and should exist within a lot of relationships, both within romantic relationships and in friendships and in all kinds.
But the advice I think would be, if you are dating, then be really, really looking for that person that you're going to settle down with, because it's a big thing.
Exactly.
I wouldn't say be uncompromising for that pursuit,
Yeah.
but really you find that person that you can live with for the rest of your life as well.
I completely agree.
You know what? I really enjoyed today's topic.
It was very interesting.
Yeah, very interesting. And I thought we were going to end early, but you know what? It's still about an hour.
We've been averaging around 50 minutes. We've been for all of those who are listening on our podcast, we've been experimenting with trying to cut our episodes much shorter, because we know a lot of you guys are listening to this on your commute to work or to school, and we appreciate the fact that those timings are not necessarily that long. If you are watching us, listening to us, do us a favor, go on to all our platforms, especially Facebook, as well as our podcast page on Apple Podcasts, and give us a review. Let us know how we're doing. Give us some love, because that helps us get found by other people, which is what we want to do. We want more Singaporeans to listen to what we're saying, because we think that a lot of the ideas that you are contributing and that we are talking about are things that a lot of Singaporeans can learn more from, and hopefully will add to what it means to be a Singaporean.
Definitely. Right. Definitely, once again, this is our work of passion. For those who are curious to know, I know I have a lot of friends who ask me, Willie, you're doing that video thing online.
Right.
What exactly is it all about? Guys, I'm doing this because we are enjoying talking about such topics.
Yep.
I think this is the brainchild of Rovic as well, and he really wants to really inculcate and really deliver this information to those who don't know about a lot of things in Singapore, and really hidden.
Kind of just take it for granted.
Yeah, exactly. We do take it like dating and marriage and even other topics. And if you know what, guys, if you have any topics that you want to discuss and you find that it's really interesting for us to talk about, please drop a comment in our comment section. Or maybe if you have our direct PMs or DMs, please just feel free to leave us a note or something.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we really love to have you. You know what? Today, I think it's really interesting. We got lots of people actually tuning in today.
We love the activity.
Yeah, and I think this is something that's really close to everybody's heart.
Right.
Dating and love, and I think maybe we should also look at more content such as this.
Yeah.
You know what? I really enjoyed myself today. Thanks, Rovic, for this time.
Thanks, Willie.
Yeah, and of course, definitely thank you guys for tuning in tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah. So till next time. See you.
Ciao.